Wow, come. Good girl, very clever puppy. So then we come on to the subject of recalls. It's really important that your dog has a good recall because, as I said before, they should never be allowed off leash in public without a good recall. So in order to have a good recall, they first have to understand their name. This would start in the house, of course, and every time that you interact with them and speak to them about something, try to use their name so they get used to it as quick as possible. Remember that when you call your dog, you should always have a command for that. So her name, wow, should only be to get her attention. And then I give her the verbal for what it is I want her to do. So for a recall, you should use whatever word it is you want to use for getting the dog to come back to you. My recall word is come. So if I want her to learn to come back to me, I would use her name to get her attention. Then I would use the word come to get her to come back to me. So you start off with a short leash, obviously, and then you can move on to longer and longer and longer leashes once she gets the picture. Wow, come. Good girl, very clever puppy. So you can also play little games like throwing treats away from you or throwing toys away from you. And then when she's coming back, use the word come and she'll get used to that fairly quickly. Wow. Wow, come. Good girl. Excellent. So you get the picture, you just build it up over time and distance. And again, try and make sure that they're always attached to you in some way. One really important thing to remember is that dogs do not generalize particularly well. So that means that just because your dog understands how to sit and lie down and come back to you in the house doesn't necessarily mean that they understand that in the garden when there's lots of distractions. And it certainly doesn't mean that they understand it in the park with even more distractions. So once you've taught a behavior like sit or down, then you have to generalize it before you can proof it. In order to generalize it, you have to again build this up gradually. So you start off in the house in a quiet place and you teach them how to do this in a nice quiet place. So there's no distractions and they can focus solely on you. Then you move it into a busier room in the house to see if they can still do the behaviors. And again, reward, reward, reward. Then you move it to the quiet part of your garden. Then to a busier part of your garden. Then to a quiet part of a public park perhaps. Then to a busier part. So all the time building up the generalization of the behavior. Good girl. If at any point your dog fails a lot at it, then you need to take it back a step because they don't really understand it very well at that point. So always rewarding and always taking your time and making sure that you give the dog a chance to understand. But again, it should only ever be done in a positive manner, never anything negative at all in training.